Hi, and welcome to the AI Transformation Podcast. My name's Jonathan. I'm your host, and you may notice as you watch this was originally recorded as a 91-day success podcast, which was the old name of our podcast. We've pivoted over to AI to better serve you and to address the needs and questions that you've got. And just wanted to let you know, you may see a little change there in the name. We're now the 91-day AI Transformation Podcast. Same process, same basic guests, but more of a focus on AI instead of just on business success. Thanks for joining us and enjoy this podcast. Hi, and welcome to the 91 Day Success Podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan, and I am thrilled today to have a gentleman who's really become a great friend over the last year, and that's Richard. Richard joins us, Rich, I believe from Florida, correct? Am I right on that? If I remember? Okay. Richard and I talk a lot, especially about AI and marketing, but we do that on Zoom, so we don't necessarily think about that. But today we're going to talk to Richard. Richard runs a digital marketing agency. He's also very much into AI and how to leverage AI to grow your business and grow your sales. And Richard, thank you for making the time for me today. Start by, if you would, just give everybody kind of a 30-second elevator pitch on who is Richard, and tell us a little bit about your agency and what you do, and then we'll go from there.
Cool. Thank you. Well, thank you for inviting me. It's a great pleasure to be here, and great pleasure and honor to be able to share with your audience that is very well taught with AI about that you do yourself. But basically, I've been into online marketing since '97. I think I got my first modem in 1994, and I've loved technology my whole life. I started a digital agency in '97, and then started working with an airline in their e-commerce department 2001, quit 2007. I've been doing my thing since. My agency is called Epic 180. We started that back in 2014, and thank God, well, we've kept alive over the past life expectancy of normal businesses, and I'm so excited with AI on how it's improving, I think, everyone's business, depending on how you look at it. Some people are afraid, some people are really excited, and I think you are definitely one of them. You've grown your AI group so well, so fast, and it's something that is changing constantly and keeps things interesting, keeps things going. And at least on the agency side, it's helped us a lot, not only on efficiency, but also speed of implementation. Also, we use it a lot for our customers, so we don't have to involve our customers that much. We do a lot of, like, we pre-record audios for voice drops, videos. We don't need them to be involved that much. Some of them like it. If they like it, great. We're not going to use it. But if they don't like it, like most people hate being on video and recording audios and all that stuff, we'll use AI for that. And the quality it's generating lately is amazing, and I know it's only going to get better.
No, I totally agree with you. In fact, that's one of the areas I think I'm probably most excited about in 2024. Probably like you, I had a bunch of people go, what do you see for 2024 when it comes to AI? And I said, there's a lot of things that I see happening, but one of the biggest that I think is, I think we're going to see just huge increases in the quality and the I guess, yeah, the quality of the video that's going to be able to be produced based upon just a little bit of data from that. I mean, when you look at things like 11 Labs now, what it can do with audio, with even, a minute worth of audio from somebody, that you can start typing in things and have that same voice repeat back to you in incredible quality. I mean, it's just, if you didn't know better, sometimes you'd swear it was that person. I think we're going to get there with video as well in 2024. Talk to me a little bit, Richard. Obviously, being in the agency world, you and I have both been around for a very long time. Remember when we first met, it was nice to meet somebody else who started in the 90s like I did. But talk to me about where do you see AI fitting in from a marketing perspective? Because I agree, it does help save time. It helps with speed to implementation. I also think, personally, I think it creates better marketing content in many cases, especially when it's prompted well. Talk to me a little bit about that from your perspective. Where do you see AI helping? And then at the same time, I know a lot of people are skeptical. They've tried different things out, and they've seen that AI just candidly falls flat on its face sometime. What do you think causes that? Why do some people have such a misnomer about the quality that AI can put out? So I know it's kind of a two-part question, but can you help me out there?
Well, that basically, it's what you said. Prompting is a big thing with AI. I mean, the quality of what you asked it to do and what it gives you will be totally related. It's like if you have a new employee, you don't train them, you don't tell them anything, and just ask them for them to do a job without any instructions, they're probably going to do a bad job. Same thing with AI. And the reason it falls flat on its face because people think it's magic sometimes. I mean, a
Mm.
lot of people don't even understand it, don't even try to use it yet. They're afraid of it. Some people see it's like scam, spam, junk being created. And then are those that they try it, they kind of saw a video on TikTok or somewhere, and they say, oh yeah, write a book for me on, I don't know, whatever, tree growing, and then they totally get a one page of junk, and they're like, oh, AI doesn't work, and they drop it. And the thing is that you have to go with first of all, you have to see how it works, learn how you can teach it better to work better, and give it better instructions. And those are the prompts that definitely you mentioned a lot, how to better prompt it to get better results. Sometimes you can't get something out of one prompt. You can't get a whole month of social media out with one prompt. You get a bunch of ideas, and then you have to build upon that. So and it's going to get better. Definitely, it's going to get much better, super fast. Eventually, we might get there when you see these tools that generate great amounts of content with little information. It's because there's someone in the back that has taught them, built everything in a knowledge base and all that, and that's how they generate better content. But again, you can do it with basic tools, Bard, ChatGPT, and all that, if you prompt it correctly.
And I couldn't agree with you more. I think that's so important. Talk to me a little bit about people that are getting started in AI. And this is a question I know I get a lot. You probably do as well.
Yeah,
You and I have seen, and I'm sure you see as many as I do, every day somebody's trying to sell me their latest book on the 1001 Chat GPT prompts, or, sign up for this new amazing tool, and the promises that people make. I did one the other day, and it was on actually writing a book. It was somebody in my AI
mhm,
group, and I respect him a lot. And he's like, Jonathan, you just need to try this tool. It's amazing. Literally, you can give it like 3 prompts and it'll write an entire book for you. And I'm like, all right, let me try it out. And I went in and I did, and it was better than just me putting in and say, write a book with 1 prompt, but it
right.
still really fell short overall. And I find so many of these amazing new tools do that from my perspective. I'd love to hear your perspective on that, though, Richard. Where do you think people should start? Should they start by just learning prompting, or should they be buying specific tools that are out there? Should they get caught up in the every latest guide and every latest tip? What do you recommend as somebody who's got experience in this? What are your thoughts on that?
I definitely think people who are just starting out who want to learn more about it should join a group like yours, where they're going to get plenty of information, a lot of ways to bounce back their ideas, and start small. Like learn how the whole tool works, and ask questions, because the thing is that because of the tools like the ones you're mentioning, and because people sometimes we are lazy by nature,
Oh
they
yeah.
just start pumping out junk, and then you see all this junk coming out, and they hear someone say, oh yeah, you just have to say, give me 10 chapters and now write each chapter and that's the book. Not really. I mean, it is kind of a really bad book, but you definitely have to feed it more if you want quality, and if you want to cause a good impression, if you're starting out, even if you want to start out and implement it in your business or for someone else, make sure you're adding that human element that's going to differentiate your content from whatever comes out of the AI by itself. But stay informed. Don't go crazy. I see on Twitter or X, whatever, all these
Yeah.
tweets on all my 200 AI prompts, my 10,000 marketing prompts, and you don't need more prompts. You actually should learn better how to prompt the tool yourself. And this is if it's something that you're really going to use. You have to decide where you're going to use your time. And sometimes it's the best thing to do with AI is hire someone to do it for you. I know you offer that service to generate content for people, to have them become the eminent person in their marketplace.
Hmm.
That's valid too. That's a great way of using AI. Hire someone who knows how to do it, who doesn't have to, you don't have to spend hours learning it, and not even hours learning it, days. This is changing so fast, that you have to constantly be on top of it and see what's working, what's not. There's a handful of newsletters out there that actually aggregate information from different sources, and you still have to go through them and figure out what's working, what's not. So when you're in a group of like-minded people that are actually using AI the right way, you can kind of shortcut the whole learning process a little bit.
I think that's a really good point, and I really appreciate what you had to say about just learning how to do the prompting. I think one of the things that I just got asked this weekend by one of my clients, and he's like, what guide do I buy for learning how to prompt? And I'm like, you really just need to start practicing, and you need to
Right.
start asking it questions. I found probably the best advice I ever got, and I give it to a lot of people now. You mentioned it earlier, is talk to AI just like you're talking to a coworker. If I had somebody on my team that I wanted to write a book, as an example, I'm not just going to go and say, all right, I want to write a book about this topic to this audience, yet turn it out for me. I'm going to talk. They're going to do research. We're going to understand the points of them. We're going to figure out what thing do we want to talk about, what perspectives do we want to share. There's going to be lots and lots of reference material and all that you have to get reviewed in the process. And writing a book, or for that matter, simply writing a blog post, is so much more than just going in and saying, write this for me.
Right.
I
Something
often say
really,
it's,
but
go ahead.
sorry, something really important that I know you've mentioned several times in the group is ask the AI, what do you need from me to give me a better output, better information? Rate the quality of what you're giving me, and how can we improve it? I mean, work with the tool. It's not just give it instructions and have it spit out stuff. Work with it, because that's how it's designed to perform better. Sorry, my
No,
dog.
I find it's a lot like working with again people, and I agree with you. One of my favorite ones, if I could save to my clipboard, I use it all the time. Was I type in my prompt, whatever it is that I want, and then I say, ask me any questions that you have in order to allow you to provide me with a better response. And it's
Right.
amazing. 90+% of the time, it asks me really relevant questions that help determine that response. The other thing, like you mentioned, that I just learned this recently and shared it. You can ask AI after it's given you a response. Maybe a good
Oh,
example is I had it working on a new book, and right now, in fact, and I had it write an outline for the book. When I got done with that, and that was a series of about, by the way, 15 to 20 prompts to get that outline. It wasn't just write me an outline. When it finally got done, I said, okay, now I want you to evaluate this outline, and I want you to recommend improvements to me. And what you talked about, I said on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is this is a terrible outline and doesn't fit, 10 is it's perfectly matched for the audience and what I want to do. Where would you rate it? And it came back and said it's a 6. And I
oh,
said,
wow.
okay, I want to move to an 8. What should I do? And it gave me actionable things that it would recommend. Now, I didn't love every one of them. I didn't implement every one of the ideas, but we then implemented a number of them. And then I says, okay, same scale, 1 to 10. And it said, well, now we're at a 7.5. And I'm like, okay, let's try for 9. It made some additional things. Now, as you know, this was a series of prompts over probably
Right.
a half hour of back and forth. But it's just like you and I having a conversation, Richard. It's no different. And when we talk about, hey, what about this tool or that? It's not just a, hey, go do this.
Right.
It's a conversation, and you really need to do that with AI in many cases as well in order to do that. I think the custom GPTs they're coming out with
Very
may
nice.
shortcut some of that, but only because we're allowed to give the GPT so much background information at that point that it doesn't need to ask as many questions. It knows the context. It's like somebody that we've worked with then for 5 years. If I have an assistant that's worked with me for 5 years, I can go up to that assistant and ask him or her to do something and probably not give a lot of detail because they're going to have learned that detail in the past.
Right.
But if I
Same with the
hire a brand
copywriter.
new assistant, it's different. Go ahead.
Mhm. No, same as with copywriters. Sometimes you find a copywriter that is really good in getting your voice, and what they've done is they've researched everything you've written, all your emails and everything, and then from there they start building the new copy they write based on your existing voice. It's the same thing happens with AI. You can feed it all your past emails, newsletters, whatever you want, and then based on that, with the custom GPT, as you were saying, ask them to write a social media post or write an email for this or that motive. So it will get your voice, but you have to teach it. It's not right out of
Yeah.
the box. Definitely. Yeah.
No, I
Yeah, and
agree.
GPTs, I love GPTs because it's giving us an easy way not to have to go back and forth and teach it each time we want to use it. And we also are keeping that amount of space it has to learn what we're giving it. So with GPTs, what we're doing with our clients is each new client that comes on board, we build a GPT based on everything they have on their website, whatever documents we can get from them, past emails that they've sent, to have a little bit of their story, their voice. And it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be a lot better if we just ask ChatGPT, hey, write an email for this client, right? Definitely. So that's really
One
exciting.
110%. No, and as you mentioned, the field is evolving so rapidly
Yeah.
right now. I've actually got a speaking engagement in February. You know, I speak quite a bit, but I've got a speaking engagement in February to a large association, and they were just on the phone with me literally a week before Christmas, and they're like, "What are you going to be talking about? Can you give us more details?" And I'm like, I can tell you in general what we're going to be teaching people about, and it's really in this case three things. We're talking to a group of agencies, and it's how to save time. That's a given. How to improve your profit margins, and how to deliver more value to the client. And I said the
Yeah.
really neat thing is you get to do all three at the same time with AI. So you save time, you make more money, and you deliver more value to the client. Which, if you've bought groceries lately, is a great thing because nothing's getting cheaper.
Nope.
So that's a great thing to do. But they're like, well, tell us how are we going to do that? And I said,
I don't know
I'm not
yet.
sure because that is I'm speaking in this case the end of February, the last week in February.
2 months.
And I said, there is so much that's going to change between now, which was the week before Christmas, and the last week of February. I said, there's a distinct possibility that I'll literally be changing things the week of the presentation based upon new announcements that are coming out, new tools that are available, new things that are happening out there. And I don't know about you, but I just find that's part of the thing that's so exciting is keeping up on all that. I enjoy it and I love it, but I also think it's important for what you said. It's going to be important that business owners, that when they look at AI, they don't try to necessarily do too much with it too fast
Yeah.
because there is so much to learn. It's really easy, I think, to get disillusioned with it if you try to do too much too fast. Any
Yeah.
thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's totally true because they hear this promise that it's going to do everything, cut costs, you're going to fire all the people, and it's going to take over the world. But in essence, if you want to use it, like if someone's starting out and wants to dabble a little bit, I mean, something super simple to do. We've been using it every day with Alexa and with Siri and a bunch of other
Mhm.
tools. But if just grab your emails, like I use that a lot. Sometimes you can tell when I learned English basically watching old movies because I grew up in El Salvador.
Okay.
Sometimes my vocabulary is a little short and I stumble a bit. So when I write my emails, now I always put it through ChatGPT and I go check for clarity, for spelling, for grammar errors, and it never gets it the first time because my tone is very casual. And if I ask it to be casual, it's too casual. So I have to find
Yeah.
that in between, but it helps me a lot. It's improved
Yeah.
what I'm writing, and anyone can do that. Like you don't have to create a mega super prompt to check my email, right? Whatever I'm writing, or even ask it questions. I've seen people there. Some people use it very creatively, like let's practice another language, or I did you see the one someone was showing the other day, like taking a picture of the fridge, come up, what can I make for dinner with what I have in the
Yeah.
fridge? That was really amazing. I mean,
No, and it is. It's amazing the things that are changing, the opportunities that are available. I, like you, in total agreement. If somebody's listening today and they're going, "How do I get started?" Everybody's sending emails. Have it start by proofreading your emails,
yeah.
and I just ask it two questions. Please improve for readability and comprehension. And it's
Mhm.
amazing how much better it makes it sound in most cases. Now, like you said, I'm not a fan of copy and paste. You always, it's no different. I compare it a lot to an assistant. If I had an
Mhm.
assistant email for me, I'm not going to blindly copy and paste what they send me and send it out without doing a quick proof on it. But I don't necessarily need to walk through every single letter of the document in order to do that. I can spot check and
Yeah.
proofread and do things like that to still save me a lot of time. And we've all spent, if I want to say minutes, but sometimes 20, 30 minutes agonizing over the right way to say something in an email,
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
ChatGPT can help you do that in
that
literally
is really good. Yeah, and sometimes with situations where like we just wrote some emails this year on we're increasing our prices. So what is the best way to convey this without being threatening or without our customers feeling like, oh crap, now we can't afford them, or what else am I going to get? I mean, we're adjusting things because we haven't adjusted price for the longest time, but that helps a lot. Or sometimes when you're having maybe an argument or you have a
Mhm.
strong opinion about something, the AI can soften it a little bit. That way it comes through much better. So yeah, I love it for that. Totally.
Well, one of the things I know a lot of people, that especially if they're not familiar with AI, one of the first things they say is, "Well, you can always tell when something's written by AI." I don't,
Mm.
admittedly, personally, I don't buy that, and I don't find the AI checkers to be that accurate. I even laugh. My youngest is in high school right now, and of course they don't want him to use
Oh, the
ChatGPT
checkers
and things
don't.
like that.
No,
But
it's
what's interesting is they use a tool called, I believe it's GPT-0. I'm not positive on that, but I use a tool to
mhm.
check. And I went and looked at the tool, and it says right on there, do not use this tool to punish or penalize a student because we're not accurate. And I'm like,
Right.
okay, the tool itself is coming out and saying it's not accurate. Yet I know a lot of people are really hung up on that. I
Yeah,
think they're hung up on it because, again,
they
because
feel
they're not
threatened.
prompting well. They're not, like you mentioned earlier, writing in the right tone and all that.
Oh, yes, for sure.
Ho-
Definitely when they but I like I use another one called Originality or Journality AI, something like that.
Yep,
Um, it's really good, but I put text into it that I've written and it says written by AI 80%. I'm like, no, it's not.
exactly. I've
But
been
yes,
there.
when they detect 100% AI, it's probably because it was written with a bad prompt and it wasn't proofread and you didn't go back and forth. So yeah, again, crap in, crap out.
Yeah, I think that's it's. I know while I don't talk about it a lot from an SEO perspective, as you know, I'm a big fan of topical authority and
Mm,
creating that. And people are always like, well, if you use AI, isn't that going to be obvious? And I'm like, well, first of all, sometimes yes, it may be, but if you're looking for it, let's say I'm going to go on a camping trip and I'm not a camper and I need to learn how to set a tent up. I really don't care who wrote the guide that I read
right.
on how to set the tent up, as long as it's accurate and it's easy to read. I really don't care at that moment. I want that information, and that's what's going to be most valuable. And I still contend that's the way it is for most people, whether you're, digital marketing, trying to convince people how it is that pay-per-click works or how to leverage social media, or whether you're, think of a retail store that's trying to promote a particular product. You simply want it to be accurate and
Right.
helpful. And whoever wrote it, we've all seen terrible content written by people, let alone AI
Oh
before.
yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
have a friend who has an e-commerce store. They sell candles and they on Amazon, and the copy on the candles is terrible. I've gone back with them and look, this started a couple of years ago, and I was like, you have to rewrite that. That's really, really bad. Like you can tell it's a non-English speaker, and the formatting is terrible. And yeah, we're hiring some. Like now, I told him the other day, it's like, dude, just copy it and put it in AI and have it fix all the grammar errors and make it more readable, understandable, and relatable. You probably have to go back a little bit, but you can switch the bad writers for one good AI uh, prompter writer, whatever you want. I think copywriters, some are afraid, but there are some copywriters that are really embracing it, and they are doing amazing things with AI on how they can streamline their copy, how they can make it faster. I think what's the name? Copy, forgot their name, but they have like some extreme prompts they're using for their copy to generate very, very good content. Like you cannot tell it's written by AI, but again, the prompt that's generating it and the number of prompts, but it's not just one shot prompt,
Mhm.
is huge. And some people will say, "Oh, well, that's not fun. That there's no point in that." Well, yes, there is, because again, if you want quality content generated, you have to give it quality instructions, give it examples, tell them all the frameworks you want it to use, tell them who it's for and what's the reason behind it and everything, and that way you're going to get better information for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And I think you said it really well earlier, Richard, when you said, crap in, crap out. Like you said, I've seen some amazing copywriters that are now using this to just put out even better content in less time and therefore
Yeah.
provide a better value to the client. So they're doing all three things we talked about. They are saving time, they are improving their margins, but they're also providing more value to their clients because they're putting out better content and often are able to do so at a lower cost. Instead of having to charge, I'll pick a crazy number, but $5,000 to write a sales letter,
Oh, that's not
which
crazy. That's cheap.
which well, it again depends on what you're selling, but
Yeah.
depending on who you're at, which is very cheap if you're selling a product that makes you $100,000. It was
Sure.
well worth it. But
Totally.
now that same person may be able to write that for $2,000 because they can actually write 4 or 5 amounts of content or times the content in the same amount of time, provide better value to their clients, save time on their part, and everybody wins in the process. Now, because they're an expert copywriter, they're going to prompt it better. They're going to ask it right questions. They're going to ask it better, give it better information than what a non-professional would. Just like if
Right.
I tried to teach something I didn't know anything about, I'm not going to do a good job at it. So no, I think
Yeah, that's really important. I think you have to like if you don't know anything about the subject, it's going to be really hard for you to tell if the quality of the information it generated is good or bad. And then if you showcase it to someone who really knows about it, then you're going to look like a fool. So
Mhm.
don't try to trick people into believing you wrote stuff you have no clue about. That's definitely a given. Copywriters spend a lot of time learning their craft. It's an art. It really is. Takes a lot of time, and they have an eye. But now, I mean, nowadays, a good copywriter using AI can, as you say, can generate this same content or better content than an average copywriter in a fraction of the time. And yeah, they can command better prices because they know how to use the tools. And most clients, we talked about this earlier, they don't care if the content was generated by AI or a person, as long as it's good, as long as it converts, and as long as it's accurate.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. I can use an example just from this weekend. I decided to write a couple blog posts for my website, and normally when I would do that, I'd have this great idea, and it's like, okay, I want to write a blog post. I could plan on spending 4 to 6 hours to research, to write, and in that, I'd probably put out maybe 1,000-word article by the time I was done. And then over time, I'd update it. In this case, I was able to do one, and instead of spending 4 to 6 hours, I did spend nearly an hour on one blog post, which people would think was crazy with AI. Why would you spend an hour on it? Well, I did some research, and then, as you mentioned, it was a collaborative effort with me asking questions to validate based upon the audience I wanted to reach, based on the message I wanted to get, getting feedback, being collaborative, just as if you and I were brainstorming about how to go about
That's
doing
it.
that.
Yeah.
And in the result, I ended up with probably a 1,500 to 2,000-word article, which was far better written than what I would have done on my own. Still represented my tone and style because,
Mhm.
again, I'm using tools to tell it how I like to write, how I communicate. It knows, simple things. It
And you're
knows that
guiding it. You're
I,
telling it where you want it to go and how you want it to do it.
and again, simple things like on Myers-Briggs personality, I'm an ENFP.
Hmm.
By telling the tool that I'm an ENFP, it now knows a lot of information about me and what an ENFP is likely to sound like.
Right.
And does it change it entirely from what my wife might write with her personality? No, but it makes a lot of nuanced changes that make it reflect my tone and my
I
style.
hadn't thought about that one.
Yeah. Oh, that's a tip I got from another friend of mine. And just
Really good.
and any personality test, by the way, if you're listening and go, what are we talking about? Take a personality test. Any
Yeah.
personality test doesn't matter, long as it's popular and you can reference it, and feed the results. Every personality test gives you a type of personality that you are. Tell ChatGPT or Claude or whatever you're using. Avoid Bard at all costs if you can. Sorry, that's just my personal editorial comment. But then tell it, hey, I'm an ENFP. My name's Jonathan. My company's Whitebeard Strategies. And based upon that, it will now weave that into what it's creating in a manner that's going to be so much more reflective of who I am than if I just said, write me this blog post about the importance of topical authority in SEO. It's
Right.
going to be
Right.
much, much more nuanced, much, much better across the board and provide a lot more value.
Yeah, those
So,
small details are really important. Sometimes we forget them. Like sometimes I remember I have this arborist, as a client, and I was writing some emails for him. And when I was originally doing like feeding some information, background and stuff to ChatGPT. When the GPTs came out, I fed the whole website, everything I had from them in there. And then we were doing this promotion for Veterans Day. And I forgot even to mention it. It was just the Veterans Day promotion. But it brought we're a veteran owned, family owned, local business, and small things like that that totally flew by my head. It was really important, and it helps a lot because people identify with peers in the same area. So that's really, really good.
No, and again, I think that's where AI can help with what we're doing. Talk to me about one of your favorite things to use AI for when it comes to digital marketing. Obviously, running an agency, you're using it to help out in more than just content creation. We've talked about brainstorming, we've talked about emailing, we've talked about all kinds of things. From your perspective, Richard, what's one of your favorite uses for AI when it comes to digital marketing?
Probably one of the biggest ones that I like is Midjourney and image creation, because you can come up with different ideas, different graphics, pictures, cartoons. You do an amazing job with all your images. I love
Thank you.
the what do you call it? The way they look
Kind of
and the
Pixar style,
consistency.
yeah.
Yeah, the style and the consistency of the style, that's really impressive. But it's really helpful, at least in my case, because sometimes I don't get pictures from customers, and then you have to go and buy stock photos, and stock photos, they get turned being out the same eventually, and you can tell there's stock. With AI, you can do some really amazing things. Just have to, again, prompt it correctly, have a couple of nuances here and there to get what you really want. Some things are as basic as saying, look, I want a picture of a backyard in Florida versus a backyard in Minnesota. They're going to look different. The trees are different, and the AI will know it. And you can fix it. If you don't like it, just throw it again. But it's better than having to spend hours and hours going through stock photos and
Absolutely.
I like that kind of, but not really. And then, okay, you have just spending time, money, and everything, getting that information, or waiting forever to get it from your customer. I hope they don't hear me. So
We
yeah,
we
I
we
love
all do that.
yeah, I love image creation with AI. That's really nice, and it's getting so much better. I mean, it's amazing. Everything is amazing. It's scary sometimes to see how well it's doing what you ask it to do, and how fast it learns and how it changes. Yeah, automations are also really good too. That's something I
Oh, I
think a lot of
agree.
people don't do. But the way you can automate things, simple. You always have to be careful, because if it's totally automated, if you don't have like a step where you approve the automation, sometimes it can get something not proper out there. But in general, I mean, simple like high level has the AI for Google reviews. I don't
Yep.
like it that much, really, because it's like very direct. I prefer, I put mine through Zapier and have my
Mhm.
own prompt to generate the review. But still, it helps, because if you look at local businesses, most of them never reply to the reviews, and that's really important. I think that helps a lot, and then showing up in the map pack. So we're doing that there. That's one of the automations. A couple of other ones we're using is for website creation. Like we have this intake form for our new customers. And if you have ever asked your customer for copy information about them and their business to put on a website, it takes forever. And you still have to go through it and almost rewrite the whole thing. So right now they just have some simple questions for the intake form, and then AI spits something out, something basic to start with, but it's better than what we can get from customers. Even if you have it, it's tough, but even if you have a detailed intake form where the information you are asking for is going to benefit the customer the most, I always see that they do a really poor job in filling it out. They either feel it's not important, or sometimes just don't take the time to dig through their thoughts and their experience and their history and fill it out thoroughly. So, and it's in their best benefit to do that. But yeah, so we have to work with what we have, and AI helps a lot there. And again, you can do the form, put it through Zapier, a thread of Zaps with ChatGPT, and then you have a document ready where you can take that and then fix it for the website, and you're going to get it done a lot faster.
Oh, I think you hit on two things that are really good there, and certainly as an agency owner, I can relate to the need to get good images. And I'll never forget, it was very early on, many years ago, when I'd used a stock image for a client, and then I was literally driving down the road and I saw a billboard that had the exact
Same.
same stock image,
Yeah.
and I'm like, "Great, we both had good taste. We picked the exact same image." Totally different industry, though, totally different use, and so I totally get that. But I think automations are really where a lot of things are going to change in 2024 in
Hmm.
particular. Even if you think for client onboarding, that's an area where
Right.
it's internal. And so maybe a mistake isn't it was with the exact word is a little bit less important. But imagine you've got an intake process and that you automatically, when a form is filled out, that form then sends a notification to somebody. And if you know that there's a certain number of repetitive tasks that are going to happen, like we're going to create a folder in Google Drive for the client and we're going to add their name to it. And then we're going to create some other subfolders. And then we're going to send out an email to our sales team confirming this has been done. And we're going to send an email to the project manager. And normally historically, we've hired admins to do all that.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
nowadays, that literally with some zaps through Zapier and ChatGPT can be done and can happen in a matter of moments so that when that new client is onboarded, within 5 minutes, all the folders are created in Google, all the notifications have been sent, all
Yep.
the emails have been sent, even things like, going and sending an email requesting certain assets as a digital marketer that we need from a client. We need your logo and we need this and we need that. All of that type of stuff can be totally automated, and AI can help make that even more relevant to the customer and your team along the way to provide a lot more value. So I think those are great,
Yeah, I
great
think
recommendations.
a lot of agencies, a lot of businesses in general underutilize Zapier or Make or whatever you want to use. There's so much, as you say, like one purchase can generate the email, notify the VA, create the folder, send a Slack message to the group, create some copy for the copywriter to start working on his stuff, and you are speeding everything up, and it's a better experience for the end user. And obviously, you're saving time and money because there doesn't have to be someone there spending hours going, okay, copy this, paste it over here. They're going to go through the checklist, waste paper, forget something every now and then, and
Absolutely.
it's really important to document your processes, and then you can, once you have it documented, and as you say, if they're repetitive tasks, automate it. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, in fact, that's one of my favorite uses for AI is using it to write standard operating procedures. It's amazing. I am not good at them, by the way, but
Right.
I'm really good at outlining them. I'm good at putting together a series of bullet points, and it's amazing if you then feed that into AI and say, "All right, here's your objective. Here's what I want you to do, and here's the bullet points that I want to make sure you do." Because it knows so much general knowledge, it can often do just an amazing job of writing that. The other day, I had a client, they were asking a really simple question. And it was, hey, we've got these blog posts. What's the best way to link them through Yoast SEO? And we
Mhm.
actually recommend a different tool. So I didn't have an SOP already written for Yoast, but I went in and said, okay, so I've got a client who's got a new blog on WordPress. They're using Yoast SEO. They have a question about this follows as far as Yoast is configured. Give me an outline of what we should do, and then turn it into an SOP. Literally in 10 minutes, I had it done, and it was very well written, had far more information in it than what I would have personally known how to put. And I didn't have to do a ton of research. I sent it to the client, and the client's like, wow, that answered my question perfectly. It worked just the way it was supposed to. And it was all because ChatGPT knows what WordPress is. It knows what Yoast SEO is. It
Mhm.
knew when I said what we were trying to accomplish from an SEO ranking perspective, how to do that when you're working with a blog. And it was able to provide great, relevant, actionable information in minutes instead of something that would have normally sat on my desk and went, great, I got
Yeah,
to write this. I don't want to write it because I'm going to
I
take a
have
half
to
hour
do
to
it.
try to remember how to do it. And then I got to figure out how to write it in a way that's going to be understood. Literally, the whole thing was done in 10 minutes, and the client was thrilled at the same time. So, yeah, so
Right.
many options there.
Yeah,
So many.
that's really it's a really good use of it for SOPs. Like literally, if you tell someone, just do a video explain how you do this process, Once you give the video, you can grab the transcript, give it to ChatGPT, and have ChatGPT turn it into an SOP. Because usually I used to do a lot of videos, but the videos were there, and then it's a pain in the neck to figure out what part of the video you have to do this.
Yes.
You can do that with the transcript, but still it's not in a well formatted way that makes it
Hmm.
clear each step. So you can throw it to the AI and it'll output something very nice, actually.
Yeah.
So that's a great use of it, actually. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. Well, you mentioned a little bit about sales, and obviously, if we're starting something new, that's always an important part. I know you've leveraged AI a lot, Richard, and I know from your LinkedIn profile and all that, talking about how to leverage it in the sales process. Can you share a little bit about, some of your best tactics and the ways that you recommend to your clients to implement AI to help them in their sales and their sales teams be successful?
We do it two ways mostly. So our business, our company is like, we focus up, our slogan is, our business is to grow your business. So there's not just one thing we do. That's why we sit down and see what they need and all that.
Hmm.
But there's two big ways we do it. One is through cold email. If it's mostly if we're working with the B2B, and we use AI to create that not so out of the box repetitive email to get better deliverability. That helps a lot there on that side. And the other one is with chatbots. It's really easy to bring traffic in through Facebook, either through Messenger or with a lead form, and put them into a chat via SMS, and have the information of the business already fed into the bot, and with obviously with AI, give natural responses to people's questions and bring them to an appointment. So those are like the two biggest ways we do that. Oh, you're muted.
Oh, I was muted. There we go.
There you go. I was like, he's really thinking about
Excellent.
this one.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what happened. I was moving my mouse around, and sometimes it makes noise. I'm like, I better mute. Then I forgot to unmute, so that was
Oh,
always really good. Uh, that's the joys of behind the scenes on
yeah.
podcasting and what happens there. So, well, Richard, I really appreciate the time that you spent along with us today. I know you've got a lot going on. Tell us, if people are listening and going, I'd really love to reach out, understand a little bit more about how you can help their businesses grow, whether that's through digital marketing or AI or anything else. Richard, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
The best way would be, my website is epic180.com. You can find the form, phone number, and everything there. You can email me at Osterude, Richard Osterude at epic180.com, or on social media as Osterude. I'm there, Instagram, Facebook, everywhere as Osterude. So I'm pretty accessible. I don't answer the phone much, really. I mean, to be totally transparent, I I do look at my text messages. I do answer voicemails, but yeah, I don't pick up the phone. I get too much spam on phone lately, so yeah, I just
Mm.
quit answering it.
I can certainly appreciate that. I know it's spam callers seem to be a regular thing nowadays,
Crazy.
but we'll put your contact information, your links here. I want to encourage you. Like I said, I've really got to know Richard over the last year and been thrilled with that process. If you've got questions about digital marketing, you got questions about AI, don't hesitate to reach out to him. He's a great resource and can
Thank
share
you.
a ton of information with you. And I highly recommend that along the way. So, Richard, again, thank you for your time today. I really do appreciate it. I know you've got a lot going on. We're so grateful for your time and putting that together. And if you stuck with us through the podcast, I want to thank you. We really cherish you and value you, and encourage you, if you would, like our podcast, give us feedback, plus or minus. We love to hear what we're doing well and what we can do better. And with that, we look forward to seeing you guys on the other side. Make it a great day.